Guys, this is Nick. Welcome to another episode of StrangeSpotting. Today we're going to take a look at a very recent clip that started percolating into the web just a few weeks ago. I don't think there's a specific title for this video, so I'm just gonna go with the creepy face behind plant. I have a long list of audio, photo and video evidence I want to analyze, and for the most part I have already scheduled them, but I just had to make room for this one because it is so intriguing. Without further ado, let's begin the analysis. I really hope you will enjoy this video as much or even more than I did making it. As usual, I'm going to play the full, unedited, original clip first. It didn't take long to find the original publisher and author of this video. It's a gentleman with a TikTok account called Relief12. Unfortunately, he doesn't provide any information about himself or the video in question, which is, as you can imagine, by far the most popular on his account, with 8.9 million views and 804,000 likes. It also sports 28,000 comments. I didn't check them all, of course, but by putting some of them in my translation app, I figured out that most of them are in Indonesian. And judging from the other videos on his profile, I think it's fair to assume that he as well lives in Indonesia, and that this clip was shot outside his house, in front of his parking lot, as you can see from this other perspective involving the same bamboo table and plant. My first observation here is that he hasn't posted any other content related to the object of our interest, and nor has he published anything related to the paranormal or to cryptozoology. The other thing I'd like to point out is that it's easy to tell also that the street where his house is located is surrounded by vegetation. It doesn't seem to be a highly urbanized area, which would be consistent with the hypothesis of an unknown humanoid creature. I think it's a bit early for probabilistic evaluations of different hypotheses, but suffice to say, so far I don't see any particular reason to lean towards the hoax one. Unfortunately, I don't have a software that can detect and translate real speech, so I can't really tell what the author is saying in this clip, but I can infer some things from the non-verbal part of his voice. I would say his general tone is soothing, the same way I would talk to a stray cat or dog when trying to qualify myself as a non-threatening presence, to slowly gain the animal's trust and interact with it. The only word accompanying this clip on the author's profile is ngeri, which means horrified. I don't hear any hint of fear in the man's voice, so I wonder if he didn't feel intimidated by the subject because of its apparently small size, and rationalized later, after he went back into the house, that this might have been a dangerous creature. Regardless, I think this is a realistic reaction for reasons explained also in the Cave GNOME video. At the very core, we humans retain some very basic animalistic mechanisms that dictate our reactions in non-standard situations. If for a moment we take for granted the existence of both undiscovered gigantic hominids and proto-pygmies, it's easy to imagine that coming across a hair-covered creature with a blood-curdling expression on its face and 2 or 3 feet taller than us while walking in the forest would cause a much different reaction than seeing a tiny humanoid being hiding behind a plant in your front yard. First case, our brains would concoct a powerful primal fear that could cause long-term psychological scars, like the many PTSD-afflicted Bigfoot eyewitnesses can attest to. While in the second, the most likely reaction would be a cautious curiosity. Given how realistic the author's behavior seems to be, I'm inclined to consider the hoax hypothesis as the least probable one and assign a higher probability to the prank, misidentification, and unknown creature hypothesis. This footage does not provide details about the subject's body proportions and body mechanics, given that only the face is visible, but this limitation notwithstanding, there are observable features that we can work with. Let's begin with height estimates, and we will use this bamboo table as reference. I have drawn some perspective lines that continue the two cross segments on the table. Due to camera perspective in this recording, the fact that the face is almost entirely below the line means that, in its current position, the subject is not taller than the table. I wonder, if this is in fact a bipedal humanoid, what's the most plausible body arrangement in this particular situation? We can tell from the facial expression that it is very vigilant, observing the person recording, so I think a half-crouched position like this one is the most likely. It must keep one leg ready for escape. I measured my height in this precise position and calculated that my standing height is 1.71 times my half-crouched position. A lot depends on the table now. Would you say this is a dinner table or a coffee table? According to the internet, the average height for a dinner table ranges from 2.3 to 2.46 feet or 70 to 75 centimeters, while the average height for a coffee table ranges from 1.31 to 1.48 feet or 40 to 45 centimeters. I created a table with those ranges and everything in between, in case the table we're looking at is non-standard. The results are quite surprising. The subject's height, according to the assumptions, would be somewhere between 2.24 feet or 68 centimeters and 4.21 feet or 128 centimeters. According to medical statistics, a person is affected by dwarfism if their adult height is less than 4 feet and 10 inches or 147 centimeters, with an average height of exactly 4 feet or 122 centimeters for people with this condition. Even at the upper end of our range, the subject, if human, would have to be either a person affected by dwarfism or a child. I must say though that this table does not look like a dining table to me, so I'm inclined to think a more realistic but still conservative option would be somewhere between these two rows, which means our subject's standing height is between 3.37 and 3.65 feet, or between 103 and 111 centimeters. This height is below average even for individuals with a genetic disorder. Let's move on to the facial features. Let's talk about the face coloration first. I used the histograms in my photo editing software, and I noticed something strange. This face has a lot more blue than any human face, and that's valid for any ethnicity. The wide variety of skin pigmentations in humans does not comprise this much blue, and this strange pigmentation can be seen also in a highly enhanced version such as this one. Of course, this could mean either of two things. The subject is wearing paint on its face, or its skin has a non-human pigmentation. I have no way of proving which one is the correct explanation, but I can assert that I lean towards this being its real skin, because it looks too homogeneous to be paint. Now let's move on to how the face is shaped. Let's see the clip one last time, but enlarged.
Dan chỗ ya nên nghe to su nghe to ga phải bandam das mu.
What do you notice with your naked eye? I know that in order to provide the best analysis and probabilistic breakdowns possible, I must always double check my biases, because I have them like anyone else. That said, I couldn't shake off the feeling that there's something off with this face. One detail became clear before using any visual aid, another one only after. Here's a photogram of our subject with two human faces on the side, one from a young man and another from a mature lady. I've resized them to line up with the middle of the subject's eyes and where the forehead and chin are most likely to be. Two elements are clearly observable. The eyes of the subject are much bigger than those of a human, and the nose and mouth don't line up. Last but not least, there is something striking about the subject's eyes. For the whole duration of the clip, which is a bit shy of 10 seconds, it never blinks. This of course is something that any person can do with a bit of conscious effort, but this doesn't seem like a relaxed situation to exert such control on the eyes. Could the subject's eyes be a little more accustomed to low light conditions? The other thing consistent with this observation is that the subject's eye anatomy seems different than ours, with more black than white, so to speak. In more medical terms, the combination of pupil and iris versus the sclera seems to be proportionally larger than in humans, perhaps to allow the optical nerve to capture more light during the night. To sum it all up, we have observed that the only elements detracting from this clip's authenticity are the fact that the author does not provide a description of the events and the possible usage of face paint by the subject. On the plausibility side, the author has a public profile. This is the only video of his dealing with an anomalous situation. The area surrounding the author's house is compatible with an undiscovered hominid, and his behavior during the clip is realistic. The subject's estimated height is below average even for a child or a person affected by dwarfism. The skin pigmentation isn't human. The face proportions and the eye anatomy are not human either. The question we need to ask ourselves is, what are the chances that Relief 12 found an extremely small person, therefore affected by a genetic disorder, who is also affected by another genetic disorder resulting in non-human face ratios and non-human eye anatomy, painted their face in a shade of light blue, and asked them to pretend to be a strange creature hiding behind a plant for a 10 seconds clip? This question, built on top of the observations laid out in the video, is the reason why I assign a 1% probability to the prank hypothesis, 2% probability to the hoax hypothesis, 2% to the misidentification hypothesis, and 95% probability to the undiscovered creature hypothesis. In light of these findings, I consider the creepy humanoid face behind plant footage highly plausible and very compelling evidence of an undiscovered species of proto-pygmy inhabiting the forests of Indonesia. Do you agree with this analysis? Is there any specific footage or mystery that you would like me to analyze? If so, let me know in the comments. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, it would really help StrangeSpotting grow if you could push the like button and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.